Hello, this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing integers and we're going to be doing multiplication of integers. So for multiplication, if the sign of the two integers are the same, the result will be positive. So that means if we're multiplying a positive number with a positive number, we're going to get a positive answer. Or if we have a negative number and a negative number, they're going to also multiply to give a positive answer. But if the sign of the two integers is different, like a plus and a minus or a minus then a plus, we will get a negative answer. Okay, now these things that I've just written down here look a lot like the rules that were in the previous lesson that we had on adding and subtracting integers. The difference is that when you're adding and subtracting integers, it's when these signs are right next to each other that they will combine to make this one. Okay, so a minus and a minus will combine to make a plus if they're right next to each other in addition and subtraction. But in multiplication, they don't have to be next to each other. If it is a minus number multiplied by a minus number, you will get a positive answer. Okay, so it's important that you know that difference, or it starts to get pretty confusing between addition and subtraction and when it's a plus and when it's a minus. Okay, so let's have a look at these multiplication questions. I have a positive 5, because there's no negative there, positive times a negative. Okay, so the signs are different. That means that my answer is going to be negative. So I always try to find the sign first. Is it positive or negative? Then I actually do the multiplication. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so let's keep going with that. Let's work out the sign first. A minus and a minus means that it's going to be positive, and 4 times 7 is 28. For C, a minus number and a positive number means my answer will be negative. 6 times 2 is 12. A positive and a negative number means negative. 9 times 5 is 45. A negative times a negative number, so don't worry about the brackets. 2 negatives are going to make a positive. And 7 times 11 is 77. Now we can actually do this for more than just two numbers, but we have to work out the sign for each step along the way. So first of all, let's do the first two. A positive and a negative makes a negative. So I have a negative and I'm going to multiply that by another positive. So it's a negative and a positive makes us negative still. So that is going to be a negative answer. Let's do it again just to make that clear. Positive and negative makes negative. Negative and positive makes negative. All right, now forget about the minus sign. Let's just multiply the numbers. 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 times 6 is 72. Okay, for G, let's look at the signs first. Minus and a positive makes a minus. Minus and a minus makes positive. Okay, so it's a positive answer. 7 times 3 is 21, and 21 times 2 is 42. For H, if I have a minus 5 in brackets squared, that's the same as writing minus 5 times minus 5. Okay, so that's a minus times a minus, which makes a plus. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 25. But if the minus is here and it's not in brackets, we're really only squaring the 3. We're not squaring the minus sign, okay? So the minus sign doesn't have to be repeated. It's really a minus, and then we have 3 times 3. That's really what that means. 3 times 3 is 9, and the minus is still sitting there at the front. Okay? So remember that difference between squared numbers there. Does the squared include the minus or doesn't it? Question 2, complete the table using the rule. So to find our output number, which is going to be y, we want to take our input number, which is x, and multiply it by a negative 4. So I really have minus 4 times minus 2. 2 minuses make a plus. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 4 times minus 1. Again, two negatives make a plus. 4 times 1 is 4. Minus 4 times 0. Anything times by 0 is always 0. Minus 4 times 1. A negative and a positive makes a negative. 4 times 1 is 4. And minus 4 times 2. Negative and positive makes negative. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, that's the end of my examples. Time for you to have a practice. Okay, pause the video, give these questions a go, restart to see how you've gone. Minus times a minus is going to make a positive. 4 times 6 is 24. This is positive and a negative, which means my answer will be negative. 5 times 8 is 40. Minus times a plus makes a minus. 2 times 7 is 14. Minus 3 times minus 12, they're both negative, so it's going to make a positive. 3 times 12 is 36. 3 numbers multiplied here. So minus times a minus makes a plus. Times another plus is still a plus. So 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 4 is 60. F, a positive times a negative is negative. Times a positive is still negative. Negative, here we go. So 8 times 4 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. G, minus 6 squared. So that means we have minus, but only the 6 is squared. So that's minus 6 times 6. We have to do that first. So 6 times 6 is 36, but the minus is out the front. So minus 36. But if we have the brackets around it, oh, that should be a little squared there. Sorry about that confusion. Okay, so that should be a minus 4 times a minus 4, which is a positive 16. Question 2, complete the table using the rule. So our output number is 5 times the input number. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. And that's it. Practice, practice, and I will see you next time. Bye.